Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let me take you back to a moment that's almost impossible to find today. Christmas Eve, 1963, a night when the world seemed to slow down. And for a few precious hours, silence felt like a gift. In 1963, Christmas Eve didn't sound like it does now. There were no cars rushing from store to store, no endless ads blasting from every screen, no last-minute delivery trucks racing through neighborhoods. The sound of Christmas Eve back then was quieter, gentler. It was the soft crunch of footsteps on freshly fallen snow. It was the distant, muffled ring of a church bell calling people to midnight service. It was the gentle hum of families settling in for the night, their conversations a low murmur behind frosted window panes. This wasn't a lonely silence, and it wasn't an empty one. It was a deep, profound peace, the kind that wrapped around you like a warm blanket, telling you that all was well, that you were exactly where you were supposed to be. If you were to walk down a street on that night, you'd see houses lit with warm, gentle bulbs. Reds, greens, blues, and golds that shimmered softly in the cold night air. There were no choreographed light shows flashing in sync with music, no blindingly bright LEDs. Just simple, steady lights glowing against the deep blue of the evening and the white of the snow. It was a humble, heartfelt display. Inside, the magic was just as real. Christmas trees were decorated with strands of tinsel that sparkled like silver rain in the lamplight. Glass ornaments, many of them delicate and passed down through generations, reflected the soft glow of the room. And the smell. Oh, the unmistakable, clean, crisp smell of a real pine tree filled every corner of the living room, mixing with the scent of cookies baking in the oven. The decorations weren't perfect. Ornaments were often mismatched, and the tinsel was never quite even, but they weren't meant to impress. They were meant to feel like home. Then, around 6 or 7 in the evening, a gentle hush would fall over the whole neighborhood. The world started to settle. Mothers, having spent the afternoon cooking, were finishing up in the kitchen. Fathers came home from work, many still wearing their heavy wool coats and hats, stamping the snow from their boots on the front porch. And kids, buzzing with a quiet excitement, changed into their pajamas, flannel ones decorated with little snowflakes, reindeer, or tiny scattered stars. And then came that moment. That sacred pause. The main lights in the house would dim. The family would gather, drawn together in the living room by the soft glow of the Christmas tree. The noise and rush of the outside world faded away completely, as if it didn't exist. For some families, this was the time to read the Christmas story from an old, well-loved Bible. For others, it meant putting a record on the turntable, letting the smooth voices of Bing Crosby or Nat King Cole spin softly through the room. And for many, it was a time to simply sit together, talking about nothing and everything, sharing stories, or just enjoying each other's company. There was no rush. There were no digital distractions pulling everyone in different directions. There was just presence, the simple, powerful gift of being together. The anticipation kids felt back then was a different kind of magic, too. In 1963, children didn't have long, detailed lists sent off to the North Pole. They didn't count dozens of gifts under the tree. Most kids hoped for one special thing, one cherished item that they had dreamed about for weeks. It might have been a beautiful baby doll with eyes that opened and closed, or a sturdy toy truck made of real metal. Maybe it was a new storybook with colorful pictures, a shiny pair of ice skates, or a model airplane kit that promised hours of careful assembly. Just one gift. And even the hope of receiving that one thing felt like a miracle. It was the waiting, the not knowing for sure, the gentle mystery of what Christmas morning would bring that created a kind of pure, undiluted excitement that our modern, overloaded Christmases can't quite seem to match. If you stepped outside for just a moment, onto the porch, the stillness of the world was palpable. You could feel the soft, silent descent of snowflakes falling on your hair and shoulders. You'd feel the crisp cold settling on your cheeks, a refreshing sting that made you feel alive. Your eyes would adjust to the dark, and you'd see the warm glow of your neighbor's Christmas lights reflecting on the snowy ground. And in that quiet, you might hear the distant, happy sound of laughter as one family visited another, walking door to door to share a cup of cheer. The world felt unhurried, unbothered, unburdened. Even the sky seemed different, darker, clearer, and somehow wider, filled with more stars than you could ever count. Christmas Eve wasn't an event to be rushed through. It was a night to be savored, a moment to be lived in. Then, at around 11 o'clock, the world would light up again, but not with noise, with candles. Families bundled up in their warmest coats, scarves, and mittens, and began the slow, deliberate walk to church. Their boots crunched on the frozen ground, a rhythmic sound in the otherwise silent night. Inside the church, the air was warm and heavy, with the scent of pine boughs and melting wax. The entire space was filled with the flickering, golden light of hundreds of candles. The familiar old carols echoed through the wooden pews, voices blended, old and young. Some perfectly on key, others wonderfully off, but they were all singing together. When the candles were raised high during the final hymn, the collective glow was breathtaking. It felt like hope itself. You could feel it in the air. You could almost touch it. Returning home past midnight, a new kind of quiet descended. Families whispered as they came in the door, careful not to wake Santa. Coats were hung. Lights were turned off one by one, and the silence returned, deeper this time. The house itself seemed to breathe, as if it were holding its own quiet anticipation for the morning to come. In the soft glow of a single lamp, parents would wrap the last few gifts, their movements slow and careful. Upstairs, kids were tucked in their beds, dreaming of the magic that awaited them. And for a few precious hours, the whole world seemed to stand still, paused in a moment of pure grace. That silence, that deep, beautiful, meaningful pause. It's something our modern world can barely remember. Christmas Eve, 1963, wasn't bigger, it wasn't brighter, and it certainly wasn't louder. But it was warmer, it was slower, it was more human, and it was filled with a kind of profound peace that has become the rarest gift of all. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you remember a silence like this from the Christmases of your childhood? What was your favorite moment? The sound, the smell, the feeling that you still hold on to all these years later. Share your memories in the comments below. Read every single one. If this story brought back some warm memories for you, please don't forget to like this video. Share it with someone who might enjoy it, and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you hit that notification bell, because we have some more beautiful nostalgic stories coming soon. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's next. Thanks for watching.